watching ABC4 News, celebrating 75 years.
Former President Donald Trump now in New York City in advance of his arraignment on criminal charges tomorrow. A Manhattan grand jury indicting Trump just last week. Now, New York City police have metal barriers up around Trump Tower and are blocking roads near Manhattan Criminal Courthouse as they brace for potential protests. Jay Dow has the latest.
Former President Donald Trump boarded a plane from Florida Monday, headed for New York City. He'll spend the night at Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan before heading to Manhattan Criminal Court Tuesday for his historic arraignment in front of a criminal judge. Among Mr. Trump's supporters, consistent messaging in characterizing this case as politically motivated. Former Trump administration U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr.
It's the very essence of the abuse of the prosecutive function, which is pursuing a person rather than pursuing a real crime.
But Democrats say Mr. Trump's indictment on some 30 criminal counts amounts to a long overdue reckoning of his disregard for the law. New York State Democratic Chairman Jay Jacobs.
I think that he's, spent a lifetime of trying to skirt the law and avoid the law. And I don't know whether he's guilty or he's innocent in this matter. That a jury will decide.
The criminal case centers on a $130,000 payment, alleged hush money, made before Mr. Trump's 2016 election to former adult film star Stormy Daniels, and how those payments were documented in business records. Mr. Trump denies both the affairs and that there was anything wrong with reimbursing his former attorney, Michael Cohen, for making the payment to Daniels. For his part, Mr. Trump continues to post frequent updates to his followers on his Truth Social account, including one that reads, quote, "Witch hunt as our once great country is going to hell." Back on Manhattan's Fifth Avenue, the chaotic scene in front of Trump Tower, expected to be just a preview of what's to come.
Our message is clear and simple. Control yourselves.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams with a warning to all demonstrators.
New York City is our home, not a playground for your misplaced anger.
Jay Dow reporting tonight. Trump's legal team is opposing cameras in the courtroom tomorrow, saying it will create a circus-like atmosphere. The DA's office has taken no position, and the judge has yet to rule. Today, NASA naming the 4 astronauts who will be the first to orbit the moon in 5 decades, including the first woman and first African-American assigned to the lunar mission. The 4 chosen are veteran NASA astronauts Victor Glover, Christina Hammock-Cook, and Reed Wiseman, plus Canadian Jeremy Hansen. Each of the American astronauts have spent many days in space already. Cook currently holds the record for the longest single spacecraft by a woman.
I look forward to the day that we continue to break boundaries even at the moon. And that's what we see our role as. We're enabling those next missions.
The crew will fly on Artemis 2, which is scheduled next year to take the 4 around the moon for the first time since the end of the Apollo program 51 years ago. The ultimate goal is to be able to one day launch from the moon to head to Mars or even deeper into space. In a weather alert tonight, spring is here and soon the temperatures will reflect that, which is causing some communities and cities to turn their attention to areas of potential flooding. Ogden River already experiencing high flows that are expected to even get higher. City officials say they have been working to decrease the chance of river flooding, but they do warn temperatures can cause some problems. They also say anyone is welcome to come and see the river, but to keep an eye on your children and keep pets on a leash when near it.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
And Alana, we have yet another spring snowstorm just pounding the state of Utah.
Yes, and when you talk about those rivers, Glenn, that's something we have to be aware of because the long range here brings in some warmth and we're looking at high, fast river flows. But today, we're talking about April snow. This is what it looks like in Woodland Hills. Can you believe that? The snow continuing to come down. At last check, Peggy Sorensen measuring 10 inches in her yard as the Utah County benches are still accumulating. And that's not over, folks. Look at some of these totals, big numbers coming out of this storm thus far, and it continues tonight and into tomorrow. 14 inches at Randolph, Ogden getting a foot, close to that on the Wasatch Back. The Bountiful Bench at 9.2, Tooele County at 7. So April snowstorm brings bringing half a foot or more to places like Tooele County, Logan, and higher elevations of Salt Lake at 6.5, 5 inches in PC, Saratoga Springs at 4, Brigham City getting 2.5. These numbers going up as snow continues to come down at this hour. It's a mix of rain and snow, but snow now at the ABC4 studios. We've got moisture on the camera with those temperatures sitting in the mid-30s. So that's giving you an idea. We've got cold air in place, but that's why on the valley floor we get that mixed precip. Also the case in Provo. But look, over I-15, freezing or below with those 20s. And we know Scipio Summit, Beaver County, Cedar City getting some heavy snow right now. It's 39 degrees in St. George, giving you an idea that that cold front has moved through. Compare that to eastern Utah where you see 60s. Now the areas that are not cold, gosh, they are windy, very windy, and so much so they've got high wind warnings in effect. We've got that front kind of draped over southeastern Utah, so the dry areas dealing with blustery conditions. High wind warning, what you're seeing for the Four Corners and up through Moab, holds on until 9 p.m. tonight. We've got a wind advisory over I-70 towards Green River, and new this afternoon, Castle Country, a sliver here from Price all the way down to Emery with Farron, Castledale, and Huntington, now underneath that wind advisory with gusty conditions. Once the front goes through, you will see colder air moving in and the winds will relax, but you can see exactly where it is. Latest wind gust 46 miles per hour in Moab. Zion clocking a 41 mile per hour gust. And then we've got the winter alerts with our winter storm warning holding on in the south until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. In central Utah, it's 6 p.m. And that's also the case up north where the mountains as well as the Wasatch Front underneath a winter storm warning on April 3rd, as well as the Uintas dealing with the snow. And we're not done. Yeah, lake effect possible into tonight. Northwesterly flow with moisture potential anywhere from Davis to Salt Lake County, looking at that chance of some localized heavy snow. Futurecast walks us through what to expect. That band noticeable there by 10 p.m. Cache Valley at 2 a.m. Northwesterly flow bringing in the chance for lake effect into the early morning hours. Basically, we're looking at commutes being compromised tonight and through tomorrow with snow showers holding on. By Tuesday at 7 p.m. we still have snow out there. Wednesday, some isolated showers holding steady. Then things dry out and quiet down, but not before dropping additional snowfall 2 to 8 in our northern valleys. Look at the benches, 10 to 20 in our northern mountains, 1 to 2 feet expected in most mountain areas, 4 to 10 in places like Cedar City, Beaver, Scipio, and 1 to 5 for the Uinta Basin. Hey, cold air for Zion National Park, a new freeze watch out. Yeah, a freeze watch for Zion National Park Tuesday into Wednesday. 30s for those highs tomorrow, 40s over in Moab, 30s for the I-15 corridor, and 50 in St. George. We're going to be running 20 to 30 degrees below seasonal norms. That's insane. We are likely going to break records. 50s, 60s, 70s, and then 80s. Look at this drastic warm-up in southern Utah. It's going to be 80 on Easter Sunday. Have to remind you that the Pine Valley Mountains have a lot of snow. It's really going to accelerate melting. For the Wasatch Front, we have snow tomorrow. Snow showers Wednesday, drier Thursday, 60 on eastern and northern Utah. But we go from the 30s to the 40s to the 50s to the 60s. I'm going to just tell you, that's called weather whiplash.
It is.
And it's going to be very, very fast.
And that 80 is very concerning.
Yes, down south. It's a rapid warm-up. We have a lot of snow, and it's going to melt very quickly.
Oh, boy.
Flooding concerns very real, not just this week, for the next several.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the heads up, Alana.